has. All right, let the conversation continue. One delicate thing about ideas is that some may be popular but bad, while others may be good but unpopular. Balancing the act is the hallmark of effective leadership. The federal government has remained resolute in its decision to bar under-18 students from sitting for the school certificate examinations. During an interministerial press briefing in Abuja, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, said parents are often in a hurry to send their children to tertiary institutions, which compromises their preparedness. Professor Maman added that the decision of the federal government is in accordance with the Universal Basic Education Act and the Minimum Standards Policy Act established in 1993. All right, let me come to you here. What do you make of the federal government's reaction to the controversial decision to bar students under 18 from taking the SSCE examination, from entering the university?
Well, for me, I think we have to weigh the two sides of the coin. The argument of the government is that the students need to be mature, that they need to, that parents are in a hurry, and that students who want to enter university at least should be 18 years old. But I think there are a whole lot of things that are tied to this issue. The first one is the process of decision taking.
Okay.
There are 274 universities in this country. And when you are taking a decision like this, you want to ask yourself, what is the level of consultation? Has there been any research that was conducted by the Federal Ministry of Education to prove that substantially parents are in a rush, to have, is there a research, a document, paper?
Like an empirical fact
based on driven by scientific evidence. And was there consultation, with the Senate Committee on Education, the House of Rep Committee on Education, the state universities? Was there consultation with ASU? Do they even consult IFE, for instance? Because IFE had no age limit at a point. IFE was established in 1965 and one of the best universities in Africa. There must have been a reason why IFE said, oh, look, we are not taking age limit to be admitted here. Then do we even make any attempt to find out global standards? And I discovered that in other countries, we have people who enter universities at 16, at 15. In the US, for instance, if you are less than 18, all they will require in Britain is to require for parental guidance, to a kind of consent letter from your parents. And we have seen cases where, remarkably, we have seen somebody like Yasha Hartley, who became a graduate at the age of 12. Michael Kinney, he became a BSc holder at the age of 10 years and 4 months. Even in this country, I can remember there was one Abati that entered University of Lagos, University of Lagos State University at the age of 12.
He got his PhD at 24.
So we need to be very careful when taking decisions that have overwhelming impact.
But when you say this, I thought we had a national education policy. It's a law that 18 is the... Is it that they've not been implementing that law?
You see, we have to also look at things from historical context. The NUC was established in 1960s as a kind of agency in the cabinet office. It only had statutory powers in 1974. It was when the military came in 1960, they now said, okay, you must be supervising. There were universities that were established before the NUC even came. So what this idea of having, in the US, regional bodies, set standards for universities, states state standards for public universities. So because they are based on certain objective conditions in those universities. So this idea of having one central body, it is only when NUC now came, I think in 1974, they now even gave them right to accredit courses. To the extent that at a point, they were even banning some courses like history, that because they were radicalizing students, philosophy. Because when you go to universities in those days, those who are in the arts, core arts, were the ones that were leading radical movements. So the government came with a policy that, look, we should stop teaching all this kind of... So I think it's one of the fault lines of our federal system.
All right.
And I believe that the government should be diligent, before. In other countries, you have these programs, but they are not enforced. Because there are always exceptions. Okay. And I believe that only very few people, are the ones they are talking about, that people are in a hurry. Why are people in a hurry? When at 30 years, you are graduate, you don't have a job. You go to the university, instead of 24 years, you spend 8 years.
All right, let me come to BK. Generally speaking, age has a complex relationship with academic achievement here. But is there, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Number one, is there an age limit to enter the university globally? That's one. And also, what is the rule when it comes to Nigeria and its national education policy of 2030?
Many countries of the world enforce the age limit. And where a child is underage, for example, parents are required to accompany the child. There are exceptions. Children who are exceptionally brilliant.
The gifted ones.
Yes, the gifted ones are permitted, for example.
Okay.
The law is waived for such children.
For accelerated.
Yes,
okay.
But the law is there that you cannot enter a university until you are of so age.
Okay.
Yes, it's not only in Nigeria that such a law is in place.
Okay.
Now, the fact that it has not been enforced does not mean the law was not there.
Okay.
We've always had the Basic Education Act and the Minimum Standards Policy Act of 1993, and it prescribes age limits for each education level. It prescribed age limits. There was a time when we didn't have JAMB now. Universities admitted, like my dad, for example, graduated from UI in 1969. He did not have to do JAMB. JAMB came later. Well, when laws are put in place, it is expected that those laws will be obeyed. The problem for us is that even those who institute laws do not show enough zeal to enforce the law or even test the law.
So should the government be blamed here for not implementing that law?
Yes. If you had a law since 1993, how come is this government that is just drawing attention to it? That for every level of education there is what's it called? An age ceiling. Not ceiling in the real sense that the entry age is prescribed. So, and if children are supposed to enter primary 1 at the age of 6, I know that for a lot of us, that's not the case. My last born, for example, will leave school before he's even 16. Because he's 15 now, he won't be, before he's 17, he's 15 now. By November next year, he will be 16. He will be 17. He's 15 now. By November this year, he will be 16.
16.
Yes, and by November of next year, he will be 17. He will have left secondary school before he's 17. So there should have been enlightenment. I'm happy that at least the minister said, okay, from 2025. Well, my own, I do not like it as a parent because I know it will affect my own child. But I cannot see the fact that the law was there and then say, hey, no, you cannot, you shouldn't enforce it or you shouldn't talk about it. My own concern is that over the years, we did not institute this. There was a law establishing JAMB, requiring that before you can gain admission to a university, even if it's a private university, you must sit for JAMB. The moment JAB was put in place, universities were no longer directly admitting students.
Because you talked about gifted children, accelerated education. How would the government now see this one? Every parent will now say, oh, my child is also gifted.
How did the Americans see the fact that a boy was 12 years and allowed him to pass through the system? Check with some of your friends who are based in the US. Ask them whether this age restriction is not there. Just ask. How many times have we seen a 12-year-old get into the university in the US? How many times?
True.
You know, if you are talking about gifted children, for example, gifted children, there's no way if a child is gifted, we'll know now. There's even an academy in Abuja strictly for gifted children. Yes, I know about that school. So you will know now, because there will be some parameters that will be used to determine whether a child is indeed gifted. And that's why I said the example of the 12-year-old in America, how many such examples are there? Because that one distinguished himself, and in order not to stop a genius from blossoming, they had to let him go through that system. When I was during my secondary school, we had one Ebira boy, then Innocent Ibrahim Ahmed, is dead now. He had to do they made him go through 2 double promotions. And on every occasion, he excelled. He would leave our class, jump to another class, because he was too brilliant.
Was too much.
Yes, 2 double promotions in 5 years. Innocent Ibrahim Ahmed. Anybody who went to school, Abdulaziz Atta Memorial College, Okene, when I was there, they will recall this person was just too brilliant for that level of education. And they let him do he got 2 double promotions in 5 years.
I also got double promotion from
Did you get 2
from 4 to 6. I got double promotion. But all right, BK was talking about the age, yeah? And I do mind is the devil's workshop. In the UK, we have the A-level, you know, but if the 6334, you're supposed to end at age 16. Now you're to wait maybe like 2 years. What happens between the 2-year gap? What should we use to fill it? Should the government now come up with a policy that we use to fill that gap?
There is going to be a lot of disruption in the private lives of millions of people, and also in the academic curriculum of several institutions. For instance, people who have taken, who will take JAMB next year, probably people who are 16 years old. You know, it means there's no guarantee for them to, you know, go straight into the university. And don't also forget, every country has its own subjective and objective situation. In the US, accessibility to education is not like what you have in Nigeria. In Nigeria, it's becoming increasingly more difficult for people to even have access to university education, even secondary school education. How many secondaries do we have? About 23,000 plus, compared with our population. So the fact of the matter is that the government with this policy will, we make it more difficult for people to go ahead of their education. And you see, these countries we are mentioning, there are a lot of efforts put into consultation, research. So my fear is that in a corrupt country, this policy will encourage many parents to twist the age of their. That's what will happen. That is what will happen.
Another one.
This is Nigeria. That is what will happen.
All right.
And you see, the rich will send their children to countries where they know they can enter university and 16. Any policy that we want to implement in Nigeria, let us usually have wide consultation and to have enough time frame to be able to implement such policies.
All right then. All right, thank you very much.